Fighter Strike, Group 5, Rear Admiral Eric, Pappy, and Doze. Hello, Pappy. That's great. Good. Thank you very much. And of course, we can't forget about your command triad aboard the George Washington. There's nothing like this one. This is a beauty. And I hear your commanding officer is a big Alabama football fan. You know, I love Alabama. I love Alabama. Captain Timothy Waits, and let me just say, roll Tide. You know, I love Alabama. Roll Tide. Where's Timothy? Where's Timothy? That was a hell of a game this week. I don't know how the hell you pulled that one out. That was. If you didn't win, I wouldn't have mentioned it. I would have just introduced you. I wouldn't have. But you came back from oblivion. Isn't it nice coming back? You know, coming back is good. Thanks as well to your XO, Captain Patrick Blind. Patrick, where is he, Patrick? Patrick, thank you. Highly respected person. All of these people are the best. Look at them. I mean, you look at them. They could have any job they wanted. Wherever you are. Where's Tony? Thank you. Thank you, Tony. He's a popular guy. And as many of you know, this month we're celebrating a truly momentous anniversary. 250 years of courage and pride, honor and victory by the United States Navy. 250 years. Can you imagine? And 3 weeks ago, Melania and I flew to Naval Station Norfolk. I think many of you probably know that, and witnessed an unforgettable display of pure American dominance at sea. It was incredible to watch. They gave us some play. Then I said, slow it down, costs a lot of money. Let's save it. You know, let's relax a little bit. They gave us some great display, from the thunderous roar of the guided missile destroyers, never saw anything like it, to the spectacular sight of nuclear submarines all over the place, to the unstoppable force of another great American aircraft carrier. One thing was clear, that no enemy will ever even dream of threatening America's Navy. There's no Navy even close, not even close. You hear about some of them doing ships, but nobody can do what we do. Nobody has what we have. And we also have the best equipment that rides along in those ships. You see that nobody makes equipment like we do. Nobody makes the ammunition, the weapons, the missiles, the planes, none of it. And if they do, the American sailor stands ready to crush them and sink them and wreck them and blast them into oblivion, right? We have to. And that's a terrible statement for me to make. That's the end of it, because everybody said that I should immediately get the Nobel Peace Award. With that statement, that takes me out of the running, but that's the way. That's the way it is. The United States is blessed with the strongest and everybody else. The fact is, we do make the best weapons, but if you don't have the right people to operate those weapons, they don't mean much. Despite that, as Commander-in-Chief, I never forget that our ultimate strength does not come from equipment. It comes from the men and women of the rank and file. That's true. It comes from you people, incredible people, good-looking people, too many good-looking people. I don't like good-looking people. I never liked good-looking people, I'll be honest with you. Never admitted that before. But see, I'm allowed to. You know, we won at the Supreme Court a thing based on everything else except for talent, and work and hard work. And it's such a big win. That was such one of the most important wins. And the will, patriotism, and spirit in your hearts is our single greatest weapon. The strength that you have is unbelievable. That's why, as we make a record investment in our military, we've never spent so much, and we've never spent it more wisely, because now we watch it. We spend it properly. I'm also supporting an across-the-board pay raise for every sailor and service member in the United States Armed Forces. Now, if you don't want it, you want to give back to your country, just let us know. We won't give it to you. Is there anybody in that category? Huh? But now, all we really have to do is get the Democrats to approve it. But they'll come along. They always do, you know, they always do. And because I heard that the sailors on the George Washington took a hit to your family separation pay, you know what I'm talking about, right? You took a little hit to be here, right? By returning to the port, you returned early for this event. I am delighted to announce that as your sort of boss, I don't feel like your boss, but I guess I am. At least you'll be happy about this one. At my direction, we're going to make sure that you receive the full amount that you were owed for the deployment. And we're not going to deduct anything because you came in to listen to your commander. I'd like to be an admiral. I always wanted to be an admiral, to be honest. Don't tell the other people that I love so much. You know, they sit around the table, they have all those. Waiting list with record numbers trying to join the U.S. Navy and all of the armed forces. We have literal waiting lists, and I'm pleased to report that 2025 was the Navy's single best recruiting year in many generations. That's pretty good, isn't it? But, you know, think of it. It seems like I've been up here so long, and it seems like I've been doing this for a long time and a half. We had a great first term, but nothing like what's happening now. We had the greatest economy in the history of our country. I rebuilt the military in the first term, and then they gave a lot of it away to Afghanistan. But it was really just a tiny speck, but it was the concept of what it was. But we rebuilt the military. And we did so many things in the first term, but we're blowing it away right now. But think of it, just 1 year ago, I was in the middle of a campaign. Can you believe that? It doesn't feel that way. I said, you know, you're right. It's not November 5th yet. We have another week or so to go. I was campaigning 1 year ago. And look at all the things that we've done since this unbelievable day, November 5th. That's when it all changed. When we won, on November 5th, it all changed, and we went from a country that wasn't respected and a lot of people that had no spirit. That includes joining the police, the fire departments. They didn't want to join. After that, they started joining, and it seems like 10 years ago, not less than a year. Think of it, less than a year ago, I was campaigning. You know, we won the second election by a lot, so we had to just prove it by winning the third by too big to rig, I called it. It was too big incredible part of the world, working with Japan, working with other nations. I just left Malaysia. We stopped a big war with, you know that, we stopped 8 wars. Can you imagine? In 8 months, I stopped 8 wars. Like, I stopped a war a month. Think of that. That's pretty good. But I just left Malaysia. Thank them because they helped us very much with one of them, and actually for even a second, they're great people, and they send their regards. I spent a day there with the Prime Minister, and we had a good time. But you carry out your incredible people. You are incredible people. They actually have the best location because if they're really good looking, they end up in Hollywood. You know, you're not going to, you have a back there. But 2 years ago, Naval Air Crewman, 3rd Class, James McCall was just a few months into his first fleet tour with the Golden Falcons helicopter squadron when he and his crew were called on a search and rescue mission to find 3 missing Navy divers. Incredible, brave guys, the divers. But they were stranded at sea and right off the Japanese coast. They were exhausted and assuming they were going to die. They assumed they were going to die. But with unbelievable focus and skill, crewman McCall was able to find and help rescue all 3 divers in the water below, saving his fellow sailors. And James is with us today as a shipmate on this carrier. Crewman McCall, thank you very much for your incredible bravery, and we salute you. Where is James? Where are you, James? Whoa. Come up, James. Get up here, James. Come up here. Look at this guy. He's a good-looking guy. Get out of here, James. I don't want you up here. No, come here, James. Nice to meet you. You want to say something? Come
on. I just want to say I appreciate all my fellow shipmates. What I did back then in Iwakuni, it was heartbreaking for losing those loved ones down there, but we brought some back whenever we went down there. And just God bless America and all my fellow shipmates. Appreciate it. And stay a bad Larry.
I was wondering, maybe he almost stayed up. He could have been up here for a while. You did that very well. He's going to be running for office next week. You watch. Great job, James. A lot of bravery, too. But as James' story reminds us, the Navy is a family and a team, and each of you has a vital role to play. Gathered here this afternoon are some of those whose toil and sweat gets our magnificent planes in the air and brings them safely back home. And we have the shooters and the gear dogs and the paddles and the white shirts and, of course, the blue shirts, the yellow shirts, the red shirts on the flight deck. And all over the hangar bay, I want to thank you all. You're incredible people. I saw some of you we're rushing to get down here, and they want to take pictures up there, you know. They're very aggressive people. Sir, can I have a picture? They're supposed to be standing at attention. Sir, can I have a picture, sir? Yeah. You know what I'm talking about, right? Very aggressive. But I think they're great. We also have a real genius and these people are incredible, who maintain the largest and most complex machine ever built, are amazing mechanics and engineers on the And I asked your captain, you know, I'm building aircraft, I'm building a lot of things, but I said, Captain, you got to tell me something. I know a lot about these ships. I know a lot about these things, building. I want to know, catapults, which is better, the electric or the steam? Okay, ready? Or you guys, that's what you do, right? This is so much better. You know, they go out, hire a consultant for millions of dollars that was never on an aircraft carrier before. So they switched to electric. I disagree with it, but it's all right. Let me ask you, we're going to go steam first and then electric. And I love the sight of that beautiful steam pouring off that deck with the electric. You don't have that. So, you know, we did the Ford in electric, the cost overruns, everything else. But, you know, I hope it's going to be okay. But I like steam. We're going to go back to steam. They change just for the sake of changing. I said to the architect, have you ever designed a ship before? You know, he only did the biggest ship in the world, right, the Ford. But we're going to go back. Okay, now let me ask you the second question. Hydraulic for your elevators or magnets? You know, the new thing is magnets. So instead of using hydraulic, that you can be hit by lightning and it's fine. You take a little glass of water and you drop it on magnets. I don't know what's going to happen. So, you know, the elevators come up in the new carriers. I think I'm going to change it, by the way. They have magnets. Not every tractor has hydraulic. Every excavator, every excavating machine, if any kind, has hydraulic. Pretty good. Which is better, hydraulic or magnets? What the hell is wrong with these people? Can I ask you, the top-ranking gentleman right here? Seriously, I'm putting out an order. I'm going to sign an executive order. When we build aircraft carriers, it's steam for the catapults, and it's hydraulic for the... Bothered me so much. I see the costs come in. They spend 900. This is not on my watch, so you know. If it was on my watch, I would be very quiet about it. I wouldn't be talking about it. They spent $993 million on the catapults, trying to get them to work. Incredible. You're all incredible people. Do you know, they say, and I love it. I love aviation. I actually had a brother who was a pilot. And see, Biden used to say he was a pilot. He was a pilot. He was a truck driver. Whatever, whoever walked in, he wasn't a pilot. He wasn't much of a president either, to be honest with you. That I can tell you. That we all know. But they say the hardest thing to do is landing a plane on an aircraft carrier. You ever hear that? And great pilots can do everything. They're great pilots, but they can't do that. It's a very special talent. So the people that do that are in this room, you're a very small group of people. Tremendously talented pilots cannot do it for a lot of reasons. There are a lot of reasons. A lot of it's right up here. So I have great... A little needle in the ocean. It's just a very little thing, and you're landing on top. So I have great respect when I see them land. You know, 3 weeks ago they were landing and doing it beautifully. They had they're very, very talented people, and nobody embodies skill and nerve and swagger and the attitude like a U.S. naval aviator. So I have great respect for you all. Thank you very much. It's one of the reasons I'm here. That's why I'm here, not someone else. I didn't need this. I didn't need the whole damn job. I could have had I had such a beautiful life. But you know what? We're making America greater than ever before, and that's why I'm doing it. And we are doing numbers that nobody's ever seen, nobody ever even thought possible before. Think of it. A year ago, we were a dead country. We were like a dead country, and now we have the hottest country anywhere in the world. There's nobody even close. It's pretty amazing, I'll tell you. None of it would be possible. All of these things that we're doing, all of the respect that we have, it's really because of people like yourself and the armed forces generally. It's amazing the job that you all do. None of it would have been possible. And all of those important missions in the Navy, the devoted members of the Food Service Division serving up. It's good. Is it good? I hope it's good. It's probably my kind of food. I like that kind of food. But they don't get the credit they deserve. I want to just thank them very much and congratulate 14,000 meals. Let's also part of our deal with the trade is we're starting to make ships. We used to be number one at making ships, and then we lost our way. But now we're starting to make ships again, and we'll do it very soon. It's not going to take that long, but it's a process. It's not like making a bullet. It's not like it's a big, long process. We've got it going, though, I think, in the right direction. I think within a short period of time, the Philadelphia yards, as an example, is now owned by a group that's going to be making a lot of ships, a good group of people. And we're going to be working also with Japan. Stop making ships, so we're going to be making ships again. We've more than, think of this, $17 trillion, trillion with a T, pouring into the United States of America from all over the world. And that's the biggest number in the history of any country. And by the time, and this is in 8 months, really. We're here 9, but this is in 8 months. Over $17 trillion. As an example, the last administration did less than $1 trillion in 4 years. We did more than 17 trillion in 8 months. And I think by the time we finish up our first year, we're going to be over 20 or $21 trillion of money coming into our country. And I want to thank Japan. Big investments into the United States, and they're very happy because the stock market's gone up very nicely. We've made Japan a lot of money. That's okay. But they're a big investor in our country, and we like that. But think of those numbers. We weren't doing it anywhere near. We were laughed at, and now they're all saying they've never seen anything like what's happened in such a short period of time. And I was just told by the Prime Minister that Toyota is going to be putting auto plants all over the United States to the tune of over $10 billion. So that's Toyota. So go out and buy a Toyota. Tariffs, and the tariffs are having people go into our country and spend tremendous numbers like we've never seen, and that brings jobs with it. It brings jobs, it brings importance, it brings everything. It brings a strong military. It brings a lot of things to other countries. I mean, if you look at some of the deals that we did. If India is going to go to war with Pakistan, and as you go to war, we're not going to do any trade. We're going to put big tariffs on both countries. And they said, well, I guess we're not going to go to war. 2 nuclear powers, we stopped it. But we stopped a lot of wars, tariffs. Without tariffs, we wouldn't have national security like we have it. We've never had national security like we have it right now. And literally a year ago, you had very little. Fair media. They're getting better. They're not there yet, that I can tell you. But they're getting better. But you need borders. You got to have borders in a country, or you don't have a country. And now we have a border that the likes of which this country has never seen before. And people. $25 million people poured into our country, totally unvetted, totally unchecked. They came from prisons. They came from mental institutions and insane asylum. They were drug dealers. They were bad people. 11,388 were murderers, half of which committed more than one murder. They let them into our country. We're getting them the hell out. We're getting them out. We're getting them out fast. Is that okay with you? Yes, right? I have no doubt. Got to get them out. Just an unforced era. And we're also straightening out our cities. You know, Washington, D.C., our beautiful capital, was a killing mess. People getting killed all the time. It was very high crime. And we sent in our National Guard. Again, great people. And I don't say they were totally politically correct. That's okay. And now it's a very safe. Now it's considered a very safe. It took 12 days. We got 1,700 people, career criminals, many of which came in through Biden's open border, and they beautiful thing in our it's been there. They've been there for 2 weeks, and it's a whole different series. Crime is less than half, and within a month it'll be gone. Getting rid of all the bad ones. And we're going to go into Chicago. We're going to go into our cities. We're going to clean them out. We're going to straighten them out. And we're going to have safe cities because you want to protect safe cities. We're going to have beautiful, safe cities, and it's happening very quickly and very easily, actually. It's easy for us. It's hard for them. And we have to have a little more help. It doesn't matter, really. We can do as we want to do, but it would be nice to have more help from some of the Democrat governors that don't mind. In Chicago, 2 weeks ago, 4 people murdered, 11 people shot. This weekend, it was like terrible, much worse than that. And then we have a governor that stands up and says, oh, it's wonderful. It's not wonderful. And what we're doing is we're going to make it totally safe. It'll be very safe very soon. And we're doing that with all of our cities that are troubled. We have cities that are troubled. We can't have cities that are troubled. And we're sending in our National Guard, and if we need more than the National Guard, we'll send more than the National Guard, because we're going to have safe cities. We're not going to have people killed in our cities. And whether people like that or not, that's what we're doing. And you've been watching what our missiles do to boats and ships and submarines. How about the submarine? They said, no, that was just fishing. The radical left Democrats said, well, it was a submarine, but they were just fishing. Transporting drugs, and it got hit. Killed 25,000 people. So we have to stop it, and we have stopped it. And I want to thank Pete for having the courage to do it. And believe me, people are very honored that you do it. 25,000 people for each boat. For many years, the drug cartels have waged war in America, and at long last, we're capability. They would have had, Iran would have had a nuclear weapon within 2 months. Not anymore. Egypt and Ethiopia, Armenia and Azerbaijan, that was going on for 35 years. Big, horrible war. And just this month, we ended the war in Gaza, in the Middle East. We ended the war in the Middle East. Nobody thought it was possible. And we also just signed a deal in Malaysia between a war that was just starting, Cambodia and Thailand. So we saved millions and millions of lives, and I did it mostly verbally. We didn't have to get you involved. When we don't get you involved, that's a good thing. We don't want you to get involved. If I can avoid you getting involved, if I have an ability to do things that maybe other people don't, or we see things, but we stopped a lot of those wars based on trade and tariffs and penalties, and you know they're getting all ready to fight, and then we tell them, no more trading with the United States. We're putting tariffs on your nation, et cetera, et cetera. It's called national security for us, but it's really national security for the whole world. And everywhere we go, America is actually making peace, and it's peace through strength. When they look at this, when they look at you people, they say, we're not going to mess around with them. So it's very important. After years of crippling inflation, back home, the problem with beef, we're going to get that down very quickly, but the prices are way down. Mortgage rates are down despite having an incompetent head of the Fed. I call him too late. He's always too late. He's too late in lowering interest rates. I call him Jerome Too Late Powell. But despite having a totally grossly incompetent guy, we have we blow through it because we're doing so well. Inflation has been defeated, and workers' wages are rising at the fastest pace in 60 years, and that includes your wages. They're rising in the fastest pace. The workers, I'm not talking about the rich people. Rich people, everyone's doing well. Everyone in our country is now doing well. My first term, we built the greatest economy in the history of the world. We had an economy like nobody has seen before. Now we're doing it again, but this time actually it's going to be much bigger, much stronger. I told you $17 trillion, but it's going to be $20, $21 trillion. And that's numbers that have never been heard of before. Much bigger than any other country in the world by literally $15, $16 trillion. It's amazing. The sailors in the ship sacrificed so much for our country, and the president, and I will tell you, the president standing right up here loves you. I respect you and I love you. and I'm giving everything I have to make sure that when you get home, you find an America that is safe and proud and sovereign and free. One service member who reminds us that we're working for In April 2024, Will sailed away from Norfolk, leaving behind his wonderful wife, Megan, their precious 6-year-old daughter, and their 1-year-old son. In the past 12 months, he has only been home for 3 weeks total, 3 weeks. An enormous sacrifice, very tough on the family, but an experience everyone on the ship really knows very well. In February, Will's tour will come to an end, and he will finally be going home just in time for his daughter's birthday. So, Will, I want to thank you together with all of those people that go through the same thing. I want to really thank, where is Will? Is Will around here? Where is Will? Wow, look at him. These are good-looking people here. Does your wife still love you? But I don't do that anymore, you know? Does your wife still love you? Yes. Do you still love your wife? And just in conclusion, every sailor here today inherits a legacy of valor and grit and glory unmatched in the long history of mankind's voyage on the seas. It's a voyage like nobody's ever had like you have. For 2.5 centuries, America's Navy has preserved the vision of our first commander-in-chief, who gave this ship its storied name, its righteous soul, and its timeless motto, first in war, first in peace. Very famous phrase. George Washington. After 250 years, that is exactly what our country is today. It's first in war, first in peace, first in wealth, first in power, first in science, first in spirit, and first in freedom. And we went through 4 bad years, but now America will always be first again. If you have the right person up here, if you have somebody that understands a lot of different subjects, we're going to be bigger, better, stronger, and more important, really, frankly, to the world. Again, they respect us like never before. The treatment they gave me all over as I go around to different countries is great, but it's really a respect for me, but it's a bigger respect for our country. They respect our country again. They didn't respect our country just a few years ago. From Boston Harbor to Hampton Roads, and from Caribbean Sea to the Red Sea, from the Atlantic to the Pacific, and from the Persian Gulf to what is now known as the Gulf of America. Isn't it nice? They say it now routinely. I heard the news today. The Gulf of America, weather is wonderful. They don't say it with a smile. It's called the Gulf of America. How did that happen, right? And it took me, you know, for many years I said, why is it called the Gulf of Mexico when we seem to have the shore? Well, we do. We have 92% of the shoreline. So I said, you know, when we make it back, not if, when, too big to rig. We made it too big to rig. I said, get out and vote. Too big to rig. Make it that way. I said, I'm going to change it. And one of the first things I did is I changed it. Nobody could even fight it. They tried. We got sued all over the place. We won every suit. And it's now officially the Gulf of America. Isn't that nice? But our sailors have written honor, greatness, and triumph into the pages of history. What you're doing is incredible, and it's an incredible time for our country. On gun decks and flight decks and torpedo rooms and cockpits, the men and women of the Navy have poured out their blood and sweat and tears to defend the land of the free and the home of the brave. They've crossed icy channels, leapt from burning wreckage, stormed into frigid waters, soared into deadly skies, and laid down their lives to ensure the survival of liberty. Now, all of us here today carry on that noble mission, and no matter what challenge comes our way, no matter what danger we face, we hoist our great American flag very, very high. We race into the waves, and we rally to that immortal battle cry of the American sailor, damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead, right? Together with our incredible Japanese allies and all of our allies all over the world, we stand strong, we stand proud, we will